3. Coming on here post game. Didn't really plan on going live, but I figured if I get a little bit of an audience, we could talk. Let's see. Wasn't a huge fan of the way that game ended. I think it was a little bit mismanaged by Sean Payton. Second time this season that he's gone for a first down to end the game when points could have been paramount. I mean, honestly, if the field goal goes through the uprights due to the Brandon Jones defensive delay of game penalty. I mean, they've got Brock Bowers, I mean, we saw last week. We even saw a pretty insane catch today, tip pass to himself, one-handed grab with Alex Singleton draped all over him. Uh, so I mean, honestly, I understand Sean Payton's way of thinking. Sean Payton was trying to just ice the game, get 3 yards, and the game's over. That didn't work out, and that actually happened to. Gosh, I'm blanking on the game, but the same exact scenario. 3 points. 3 points makes it 27-14. Two touchdowns is, I mean, it's, I mean, harder to get than a field goal and a prayer. So I I didn't really like how Sean Payton managed the end of that game. It was pretty, I mean, selfish, honestly. 27-14, kick it off. You get them in the scramble mode to try to put some points up. The defensive delay of game was pretty funny to me because I remember a game, I think it was when it must have been in 2009. We were losing to Jamarcus Russell. I mean, not many teams lost to Jamarcus Russell and the Raiders, but I believe we lost a game to the Raiders, to the Oakland Raiders, with Jamarcus Russell as their quarterback. And same scenario. Gosh, I'd have to look back at and find what game it was, but a defender was just laying on top of whoever made the grab. It was 2009, so I mean, try to 2008, 2009, somewhere. I was in my late teens, early 20s when it happened, but I thought it was pretty comical that so many years later, and not necessarily the same scenario, but um, pretty close to the same scenario, that the Denver Broncos got called for a defensive delay of game that let the Raiders kick a field goal. But either way, it wouldn't have come down to that if Sean Payton didn't mismanage the end of the game. I think Sean Payton gets a lot of credit for his expertise and the way that he calls a game, the way that he manages the clock. And I think that um, rightfully so, but not today. There were a lot of good takeaways from the game today. Don't get me wrong, but I am going to open with that mismanagement at the end of the game. I mean, if a ball bounces, the Raiders' way, they got the 3 points. If it bounces their way, they get that through the uprights with 1 second left and get an onside kick. I know a lot of ifs, if, and then if they get the Hail Mary to go for a touchdown, but that's how improbable victories happen. It's mismanagement of time, and Sean Payton shouldn't have been um, greedy in that sense. I think that Sean Payton should have kicked the field goal, go up 27-14, make it 2 touchdowns. You need 2 touchdowns. You need 2 touchdowns in less than a minute or just over a minute. Good luck, especially with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback. Good luck. But for whatever reason, Sean Payton went there. Now, I will say a lot of what we did today, I was a huge fan of the commitment to the run game. In my pregame video, I thought that RJ Harvey was going to go over 100 yards rushing, and maybe a Marvin Mims punt return touchdown took some of those yards on the ground away from RJ Harvey, but I'm not complaining about a punt return touchdown. That was huge momentum shift. Penalties on Patrick Sertan need to be cleaned up, but a lot of good things. Commitment to the run game was huge. Bo Nix was slinging it around. At one point, he was 30 for 36, so only 6 incompletions. Um, through I think it was midway through the fourth quarter, and we did a lot of running towards the end of the game. So I'm not too sure how many more pass attempts he got off. He did drop back and get sacked there late in the fourth quarter. So I can't say that I um, I remember too many more pass attempts for Bo Nix, but 6 incompletions mostly through the fourth quarter. One of those I mentioned in my halftime report how I was feeling at halftime was a hail mary. So we're not going to hold that against him. Definitely think that um, you know it, I think Peyton Manning was talking about um, hail marys at the end of a half or end of a game shouldn't count against quarterback's completion percentage or something like that. It was an ESPN Monday Night Football video that I saw of Peyton Manning. I believe he was making that argument. So I don't know. I think that Bo Nix had a great game, and the run commitment to the run game leaves me to believe. Leads me to believe that the Broncos have the stable of backs that they're going to roll with the rest of the season. Um, let's get in here like this. That's annoying me. The shade on my face. So roll with this. Um, Broncos country. If you got anything to say, definitely intervene. But huge victory. Broncos go into the number one seed of the AFC. Can't really ask for much more than that when it comes to Week 14 in the NFL. And controlling our own destiny is huge. Being a since they changed the format from 6 playoff teams per conference to 7, and only having one team with a bye in the first round of the playoffs, number one seed becomes that much more important. I remember uh, I remember a handful of times, when before they made that switch, just hoping to sneak into the 2 seed, but that's no longer the case. You have to get the 1 seed to have that privilege of a bye week, and Denver's obviously gunning for it. I think the game plan was very well done. Um, Sean Payton spoke, and they said this in the commentary a handful of times. How Sean Payton was not pleased with the game plan that they rolled with in on that Thursday night game a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. Um, that the Broncos came back with a much better game plan today on the road. They mismanagement towards the end of the game, and Kenny Pickett leading a touchdown drive really takes the wind out of your sails when you look at the box score. Still huge win. Raiders being a common opponent with the New England Patriots. We win. We swept the Raiders. That's always a huge deal in Broncos country. So pleased to go 2 years in a row without having to hear Raiders fans talk about beating us at all. So definitely huge. Um, Taking the 1 seed and controlling our own destiny. Now they did say in the broadcast that Denver has the third hardest strength of schedule the rest of the way. I mean, that might be true, but we have more home games than road games. We have a road game against Kansas City on Christmas night, which when the schedule came out, I know all of Broncos country was a little bit peeved that they would put us on uh, Christmas night in Kansas City. Arrowhead's a hard place to play as it is. Get a couple of rum eggnogs into that rowdy bunch and at Arrowhead and have one of the loudest stadiums in the National Football League even more rowdy. I mean, it's hard to be pleased with that um, schedule, that part of our schedule, but as it pertains to us right now, um, the Patriots have a rough road too. They play the Bills, who they already beat this season, so Buffalo is going to be uh, ready to rock and roll. So we'll see if the tiebreaker comes into play. If it doesn't, that would be cool. As far as Denver is concerned, if we've done enough to win the top seed in the conference, because um, New England drops a couple games out of the bye. I mean, it's certainly feasible. Um, the Colts dropped 2 games out of the bye, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And then they dropped another game today. So is that 3 straight that the Colts have lost? I know that Jacksonville put a whooping on them, and it's the AFC South went from Indiana Jones leading the Colts to a number 1 seed to it's up for grabs. Houston playing Kansas City in about an hour. Game kickoff starts. I mean, you could see Houston not only vie for a wild card spot, but you could see them make a run at the division with the way that the Colts have kind of dropped off of a cliff and kind of come back to earth. Whereas Houston's also playing lights out defense and winning games that maybe they on paper shouldn't have won. If you look at the matchups from the first handful of weeks in the season, you look at how this might dial up. Everybody, all these analysts might look at that matchup and give the Chiefs a victory, might give victory tonight, might give the Texans no chance at coming back and winning the division, but it's certainly a possibility. And as far as I'm concerned, the AFC is a 2 horse race. The Broncos might have a tough strength of schedule the rest of the way, but home games in Denver are tough enough. So we invite Green Bay. We invite Green Bay. We invite the Chargers. We'll see Kansas City and Arrowhead. We'll see Kansas City and Arrowhead on Christmas night, and we're gonna give we gave Kansas City a fight in Kansas City last year. And it wasn't a cold winter night. It was fall. It was afternoon. Sun was still shining. Maybe a little bit less rowdy uh, crowd in Arrowhead last year, but we'll see. I feel really good the way that the run game looked in comparison to the last couple of weeks, especially last week. I was thinking uh, doing whatever we can to add to the running back room. Even claiming Damian Pierce, I would have claimed Damian Pierce off of waivers a couple of weeks ago because I wasn't sold on the run game. I didn't think that the Denver Broncos had what it took as far as the between the tackles running. I think RJ Harvey gets a lot of um, the perception is that RJ Harvey's an outside runner, and I mean it is true to agree. But we saw today that RJ Harvey can run between the tackles. I believed he could, but at the same time, when you have that reputation, when you see how Sean Payton's doing the game plan and calling plays that go to RJ Harvey, it's outside runs, it's swing passes, it's screen plays, it's not between the tackles. And I mean, obviously, the strategy has to change with J.K. Dobbins down, and we saw that today. And um, RJ Harvey put 70 yards rushing on the box score, 25 yards receiving. Typically, those numbers are flipped. Usually, he's catching, you know, option routes and swing passes, and then he'll get handful of yards, 25, 35, 40 yards rushing. If I remember correctly, his highest rushing total of the season was week one, where he had a 50-yard long and rushed for 70 yards in week one. And so this would make his highest rushing game of the year. And he's been dynamic in every regard. Uh, in the pass game, he's able to run every route. His hands are a lot better than a lot of people thought in Denver. So I mean, all things considered, RJ Harvey's doing a fine job. Broncos country, I have a hard time thinking about this game and being too stoked because in reality, Denver um, should have had a 27-14 win. That's just having a 13-point win to and going from that to a 7-point win, a one score game over an opponent that's inferior to you. I mean, I want to highlight the good. I want to focus on what we did well. Pat Bryant looks good. Having little Jordan Humphrey. This is one thing that I wanted to mention. Having little Jordan Humphrey back um, has done well for our offense. He Bo Nix on a little inside bootleg rollout type of deal hit Lil Jordan Humphrey on a little. It was like 7, 8 yards, and those are just plays that we weren't hitting on. I do believe that each game is called differently for a reason. We want to attack in different ways, but Lil Jordan Humphrey is good for our run game. He's good for little naked boots and just having that one wide receiver out there. He was there for RJ Harvey's. Um, it was an interesting play. I thought it was funny that we loaded up the left side first drive of the game, I believe. Loaded up the whole left side. Had a we were running the ball, and then Lil Jordan Humphrey on the right, and um, the play call was a weak side run, and that was just funny to me because when you're tipping your hand, which we did all game long, that's one area that I would have, especially as a road opponent in your being a division opponent on the road. I maybe wouldn't have tipped my hand on what my play calls were so frequently in the run game. But Sean, we got out of Nevada, out of Las Vegas, away from the Raiders for at least another 9 months um, with a victory, and it feels good. It does feel good. We've got the Packers coming to Denver next week. It um, feels like that's going to be a big game, and it will be. The Packers, last I checked, were doing very well on in their game against the Bears. The Bears were coming back and were within 3 points, and but the Packers actually hold a 7 point lead with 27 seconds left. Looks like Caleb Williams has got the Bears down to the 14-yard line, 4th and 1. I mean, Bears could score a game tying touchdown towards the end of the game, and then maybe take the Packers to overtime, lead them up a little bit. I don't know. I don't like injuries, but I like our our future opponents going into dogfights. I like them playing overtime games. We just came out of an overtime game. We played well. I mean, obviously you've got the week to rest. You've got you got state of the art facilities to recover, but psychologically, just the mental fortitude it takes to come play an overtime game and then go on the road is huge. So I don't know if I'm necessarily rooting for the Bears to win, but and they won't because Caleb Williams just threw an interception. But would have liked to see them go to the overtime. Yeah. Well, two things on that play. I'm not necessarily trying to be a play-by-play guy right now, but Caleb Williams had it looked like Swift on a little out route. Uh, looks like was it Swift? Yeah, Swift on a little out route, which would have been a hard pass to complete, no doubt. But if I'm Caleb Williams and I'm trying to get 1 yard to extend this, yeah, the pass to Cole Kmet could have been called. You could call a pass to Cole Kmet and that, and have the expectation that your stud quarterback is going to hit your stud tight end for a game tying touchdown. But you got to go get that first down. So I don't know what the Bears are doing right there. Um, Ben Johnson called up a play he thought was going to be successful, and it could have been successful in multiple facets. You could hit DeAndre Swift on that little 2 yard route, get the first down. You could have had Caleb Williams put his head down and get it, or you could have got the touchdown over the top. Unfortunately, Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams, and I'm gonna be honest. I had Drake May over Caleb Williams, anyways. Jaden Daniels as well. Bo Nix was my fourth quarterback out of the draft last year. And Drake May no, Jaden Daniels number one, Caleb Williams number three, and we had Drake May number two. It should have been Caleb Williams to the Patriots, but Broncos country. Just wanted to get on here, go live one time, and see how it looked. Um, how it looked to go live, how it felt. Huge win for the Denver Broncos. I'm gonna do an official post game video later tonight. But Broncos country, we're 11-2. We made it out of Vegas, sweeping the Raiders this season. So can't ask for much more than first place in the AFC, sweeping the Raiders. Life's good. Go Broncos.